So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. I'm just getting started here, grooving along. So, today we'll actually be talking about how to use these different synthesizer pedals as kind of more of a modular synth, right? So right now, what you were just listening to is actually the Enzo X filter, the ladder filter, negative 24 dB, which is similar to a Moog style filter, using that as an envelope filter. And just so everybody has a general, understanding of how the board is laid out or how just this general system is laid out, start here at the Empress compressor. Come into the tri-parallel mixer, got the Future Impact, Quimera, and the Enzo X. Then we have all that coming out of here, mono into the Pog 3, Ravis Sitar, 256 vocoder, jumping over here to the Tone X1. Then running stereo out of there into the Mercury X, New X looper, and then the Canvas line isolator. And all this is powered by a Canvas Power 15, along with, MIDI integrated throughout the board. We also have a Graviton M1 with some foot switches down here on bottom. So, all right. So this first thing, where something like an Enzo X is really useful. It's not just a synth pedal. You can use the individual effects and they sound really good. So get you this very nice territory already without having to do too much. You know what I'm saying? So that's one way we gonna do it, right? So let's go ahead and just lay down a quick loop with that. I think we'll go with the same thing just to keep it easy. now we got some bass laid down there. We can use the Enzo X and the Quimera, and also have another Enzo X with a separate effects chain here with another Tone X1 and a Source Audio Atlas compressor on the desk. Let's go ahead and start just laying down some layers. All right, we'll save that. Save that forward. We'll lay that down in a second here. So this sound is actually the Enzo X on the desk, excuse me, and the Quimera separately. Just the Enzo X. Right. Along with that, we have the Quimera. Matter of fact, I'm gonna switch this sound to over here because this Enzo X isn't running through the looper and stuff. It's a whole separate thing over there. So let's turn this on 41. Matter of fact, let's just I think we'll go with something like that. What's going on, folks? Appreciate you hanging out with me, and thanks. Appreciate that. Love my bass. All right, let's go. Actually the Future Impact. We wanted to use the Enzo X. Bring that volume down. That reverb's a bit long for this. So, important thing about looping, especially with something like this, you want to save as you're going along. And I tend to save them in stages, you know, as I'm going along, just in case I want to go back and peel back some layers and try out some different things from different points. Feel free to ask questions and all that good stuff, comment, say hi, you know, put where you're from, any of that stuff. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you finding all this useful, hit that super chat cash app. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I like that little horn in there. Let's do something like that. This one of the other benefits when you have like multiple monophonic synthesizers, like the Enzo X is functioning as a monophonic synthesizer, and the Future Impact, you can play those little harmony parts together. I think I might have doubled it up here. Hope I didn't. Yeah. That's fine. just by combining different sounds. It's generally how you create songs in general. But in this context, with a few pedals, you can do an entire album. These are full synthesizers. And also, if you're not aware, Tonix, IK Multimedia has just released the Tonix 1 Plus, so the new Tonix model has not only all the amp models, all the effects, but it also has a brand new Bluetooth app where you can completely control the Tonix 1 with your phone or iPad, and it also is going to also does include MIDI in and out. So, I have one on the way. You guys know I'm affiliated with IK Multimedia. So, I love their products. Even before I was, working with them, I always loved the Tonix 1. I still have my other original Tonix 1 over here, which is doing just fine. And the cool thing about these Tonix 1s, the 1 Plus, that just came out, you'll have all that capability and you still have an audio interface through the USB port here. And you also can still run it stereo through a TRS splitter. Something like this will allow you to run that Tonix 1 in stereo, and you don't actually have to have two of them. Now, if you want to have a left and right input, you need to run two of them. So that's a little tip there. But for the most part, something like this, or even something like these. I like this little cable I just got in. Probably going to use this when I switch the other one over. But it's got a little length to it, But essentially, it's a TRS cable to two TS cables, essentially taking one stereo output and turning it into two mono left and right outputs. So that works great for the setup, and also will help you minimize your setup, right? Because the Tonix 1 is really small. You don't have to do too much. Also, running an iPad here, so the Tonix 1 is actually allowing me to patch in my iPad very easily. So that's another great feature of the Tonix 1. It's also an audio interface, and a really good one and stable one. So let's keep going here along these lines. Let's add it in a little bit of Pog 3 in there. But let's go back to the Quimera for a second. Had this nice brass sound I made. I love how the Quimera and the Future Impact and Enzo X all sound completely different. Like they all sound completely different. People sleeping on that Quimera got some nice stuff to it. And the thing that's really impressive about it is you can also upload your own wavetables. You can upload your own samples as well. So I have things like EP sample. And that's the Quimera. And what I've done to add the sustain or just regular playing, I have the expression pedal parameters. I have certain parameters from the ASDR. I mean ADSR. I don't know why I say it like that. ADSR. I have I believe the release and the sustain attached to the expression pedal, which allows me to get sustain or just regular. And all this is from one sample, this sample. That's the original sample. But the more you you stay around the original sample, the better, more realistic it sounds. But as you go up, you can really get some different textures, and in the low end, you get some different textures as well. Quimera is stupid, yo. That ain't fire. So you even can do things like that. And of course, if you can sample an EP like that, and you can sample anything, and you got, I think it's 10 slots in there, user slots, and you can download different wavetables and add it on there as well, because it has wavetable synth as well. It's not just a subtractive synth. It has wavetable synth and sampling. So opens up a ton of possibilities with it. Even things like this. Favorite past sounds I've been able to make, and I actually made this from one of their stock presets, but I added my own quite a bit to it. But and I will be coming out with a Quimera pack. I just found out we can back up the presets on the computer, so I'll be coming out with Quimera pack, a POG 3 pack. What else? Be coming out with some new Tone X1 packs as well. And if you're not aware, check out the preset packs on Patreon for the Future Impact, Enzo X, Mercury X, Tone X1, 20-some preamp packs for the Tone X1, C4 synth, the Zoom B6, MS60B plus, MS70 CDR plus. That sound is just so relaxing to me. I don't know why. It's just that, and that's based off a sample and a synth combined. And of course, when you got something like that and you got an Enzo X around, you can add some really nice pads. So here's the Enzo X by itself. Right. Add the Quimera. Throw that into a big reverb. That's literally the Mercury X freezing that by itself. So that's The cool thing about having multiple synth pedals is it really does become more of a module synth versus just individual synths. It becomes like back in the day, you would have need a whole room of synths to get all these different sounds that these three compact pedals can do. Not only that, to get something, in my opinion, that'll really top these, you would, in a keyboard form, it would cost you quite a few $1,000s. Just getting the Moog and the ARP 2600, say you just got a Moog keyboard, that's a few $1,000s right there by itself. This is about 350, I believe, if you get it directly from their site. Quimera is about 400, while the Enzo X is 600. So altogether, you talking about 13, 14, probably about 1450, all that together, and that is about the price of a good keyboard, right? So you know but you're not just getting like a regular keyboard. This is not the type of setup where you're looking to get like piano sounds and things like that. This is for people that are really, into synths. You got to really be into synths for this to make sense for you to do. And it takes, they're not just I would recommend this to anybody when you're dealing with gear. Gear is not just a financial investment, it's a time investment, right? So it's gotta, you have to spend enough time with it. You got to spend enough time with it for it to make the difference. I love these two together. Quimera, and then you can add in. Come on, Future Impact. So essentially, while yes, they might cost altogether, you know, pretty much what a somewhat of a good synthesizer would cost you by itself. right? But they're in pedal form. They're really portable. You'd have a much time creating a pedal board with these three, have a much smaller pedal board, right? And taking that with a MIDI controller. Now, for a couple MIDI controllers and you in business. And you're actually getting more bang for your buck. You would have to get a separate MIDI controller a lot of times to control multiple things like this with a regular keyboard as well. So I just really, really can't get over how much the Future Impact really did do a great. They what is this? Panda Audio did a great job of modeling those old, analog vintage monophonic synths. It's and this is a bass pedal, right? But it's primarily, I wouldn't even look at it like a bass synth pedal. I would just look at it like a synth pedal. And the Mercury X is doing a lot of that extra reverb and stuff you're hearing by itself. It does have some reverb some delay on there. That delay is coming directly from the Future Impact, while you still have access to the Quimera and the Enzo X. And this is where something like this tri-parallel mixer is going to be super important. Because I couldn't play, before I had the tri-parallel mixer, I couldn't play all three synths at once. I had to play them individually. So, this is about $150. It's not too bad. But the functionality is great and the size of it is great. Perfect, perfectly pedal board friendly, same size as that V256 vocoder and the Ravish sitar. So not too out the way. And it also has things like you can flip the phase and stuff and EQ it. Definitely do tilt EQs with it, and as well as mixing your sound. And when you want your direct sound to go to the synth pedals, like I have going to the Enzo X right now, right? And I can change I don't even have to do anything extra. So, it works out great for somebody that's a multi-instrumentalist, or if you're a bassist that wants synth in your rig. If you don't want to have to spend a whole bunch of money getting the actual Moog, this Future Impact to do you just fine. You just have to know how to use it. And you got to just program things before. So, a lot of times, I am using the Future Impact for synth-based stuff. And all three of these units are capable of that. Great synth-based stuff. So I could combine. Come over here. Now I have all two Enzo X's running. And the Quimera. And the other one that's the one on the desk. This is the one on the pedal board. And the Quimera. We can mix those any way we want to. Start with these two. We'll bring these two down. let this one be the main one. Sorry about that, guys. I can also, if I wanted to, let's do a little road sound over there. Gotta bring this Enzo X down there. Get this one a little more volume. And that road type sound is coming from the Enzo X on the desk. So, these are 4 feature synthesizers to the point where you can get very close to things like a Rhodes sound with it if you are into sound design and you really know how to use, subtractive synth to add things. And it also gives you a bit of FM synth in there, which is why I can get these nice metallic type sounds. Mind you, all these sounds are available on the Patreon in the preset packs. So, the point of me creating sounds like that on the Enzo X was not really for me to replace Rhodes sounds, because right over here I have them already ready to go. Let's see, and the Neo Soul Keys app. It was about $15 on the iPad or iPhone. Let's come over if I want it, sometimes I don't really want that sound. I love that sound. That's why I use it. That's my main EP I use, actually. But when I want something a little different, sometimes you don't always, you like to have a variety of sounds. And just like the Enzo X can't get you exactly that exact sample type sound, it can get you its own sound, which becomes its own thing. And through the expression pedal. So I have an expression pedal tied to the Graviton M1. And so for the majority of the pedal board, it's only one expression pedal that controls all of it. And I have to have a separate one for the Quimera because for some reason, they didn't do a MIDI CC message for the expression pedal. So in the update, hopefully if Bananana Effects watches this, hopefully y'all hear this. Add the expression pedal CC message, you know what I'm saying? So we can control the expression pedal via MIDI and I don't have to carry an additional expression pedal just to control that. Even the Pog 3, all the functionality I need in there, I could control with the one expression pedal, because everything's pretty much on MIDI at this point. At least it will be, you know. Only thing I can say won't be on MIDI is the Ravish sitar. I don't know how long this is going to be on the board, but you know, this is getting switched out for the Tonix 1 Plus, and the V256 vocoder is also on MIDI. But yeah, so I kind of want to compare the Rhodes sounds I made on the Enzo X to what I've done on the Quimera. This is the Quimera. Let me bring this up. Turn this effect down in here. For some reason the delay was doing some weird. Oh, wrong expression pedal. This is more like, this one's more closer to like some of the first digital EP sounds. Like, it doesn't really sound like exactly like an EP. But you can use it for different things. This one has a very different texture than even what's on the Enzo X. Now, I also have a few of these made, like a really mellow one. We got one more in here. Hit that like button for me, folks. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Ooh, got a little pony. Forgot I created that joint. That's in the preset pack too, for those you read. Alright, just had to do that real quick. That's the Enzo X again. But I've created these piano, like music box type sounds. So you got sounds like that. Like a toy EP. Very video game like. Where's this other one? 3. Maybe this far back. Hate trying to track down sounds. This is why I pre-program everything. get stuff like this one too. So you can get some really gorgeous sounds out of these various synths, you know. Just depends on your creativity, really. Make sure y'all, if you got any questions, feel free to ask, all that good stuff. I know I got started quite a bit late today, but appreciate you guys nonetheless. So let's get back into it a bit here. Let's see, where we leave off. Tend not to add like actual drum sounds. I find, mostly because when I go to use this live with my band or something, I would have to, my drummer would have to play exactly what I laid down, right? So a lot of times I do avoid that, but let's do this. We'll save it forward. That way that groove's already saved. And I don't know why these songs got so much bass to them. This is why I love Sample Tank. All this stuff is already in Sample Tank. And it's already included with the Ivory Keys IO 49, which is also an audio interface as well. So it's a MIDI controller and audio interface all in one. That's a future impact. So, future impact, not just, it is monophonic, but you can do harmony and stuff in there. So, you just got to set up the pathway. So, essentially the oscillators are just harmonized there. I'm not going to take this off real quick. But again, hit that like button. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me. We almost there. Oh, come on. Make sure that joint wasn't coming off without a fight. All right. So just to recap a bit, you want to essentially, in order to make a setup like this work, you're going to want something like a tri-parallel mixer, so you can have each synth running in parallel, and then it'll sum it up coming out of the output, So, and I'm running all of these mono right here. So that makes your life so much simpler. You can mix and match sounds compared to if you run them in series, you can only play one at a time. And you can still have them all running into the same effects at the same time. Like I have them all essentially running to the Tone X1 and then to the Mercury X here. So that makes my workflow really easy. And I can have that same amazing reverb on these other two at the same time. Well, if I put it on the right channel. Say that is a bit bright. I can change the EQ tilt here for the future impact. So it's all just right there ready for you to go. So, yeah, you want to mix and match these different synthesizer pedals, different, of course, just like you do with the effects pedals. Only difference is in order to get the best out of it, you're going to need some parallel mixer or some, just a regular old mixer. You can have something. I have like a Zoom L8 over there mixer, or you can use something smaller. Those old Behringer mixers, just understand whatever mixer you're using will affect your sound. So, this is really compact and it's meant to be stepped on and it's really robust. So I don't really mind this being $150 because it's, I know if you can't tell, I'm familiar with electro-harmonics and I kind of love their stuff. So, I'm confident in that. But, yeah, and then I have the Enzo X on the desk actually running stereo. No, that's running mono as well. The difference being by the time this stuff comes out of this parallel mixer and goes through the Tonex one comes out, it's now stereo. So that's why that sounds like so massive. But all right, folks, I definitely appreciate you hanging out with me. Feel free to check out any of these pedals, and if you do, and you make sure you let them know that the Bass Nagus sent you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Also, feel free to hit that Cash App Super Chat and check out that Patreon if you want to support the channel for $1, $5 every month, or if you would like to check out my preset packs for the Future Impact, Enzo X, Mercury X, 20-something different preamps, bass preamps for the Tonex 1. And then we also have the C4 synth and the Zoom pedals. So check all that stuff out on the Patreon, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for hanging with me. Peace.